Yeah, he requested it.
Yeah. I try and give each child 5 weeks. Yeah, I can take it.
You do whatever you tell me. I'll take all the help I can get.
The other thing on the 14th, November, December, I'm sorry, December. Yeah, we're gonna do this gift delivery.
Yeah.
No, it's November. I don't know if you saw the email.
The gift deliveries in November. It's usually kind of early in December, but I thought it was in December.
We got hit by both.
That sounds really early.
Did I say November?
You did say
Head
November.
into the water.
Let me check.
Jim.
I'm working here, Pete.
Hi, Jim Farmer, nice to meet you.
Jim, are you the president here? You got here because you were sitting on the front table. I'm your speaker today, Jim.
I'm the president, I work for a government. You tell me what to do.
We'll be on the office work. I've worked on that. Let me text her.
Oh my God.
We know you passed a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Mom died. What you created this week. Would it be out of balance though? We have to slide this car back.
We lived a good life. It's all good. Last couple of years were. I know you're real hard. He's a good guy.
Jim, he was a customer.
Oh, wow.
Long time.
Yeah, right.
I think that's what it was. Yes. Ricky Morgan.
Flimsy, but.
Your name does sound.
We'll have to hold.
Yeah, it was 20 years ago. We closed down.
Right.
Which one? Okay.
Which one? Yeah, it's all good, man.
Where do you?
I did send the form to you. Yeah, I saw that. Okay. It's just out of the office. Yeah. I can knock it out today, though. Okay. I did send out the other emails.
Maybe yeah.
So it gives me two. Okay. So that's just fine.
Yeah, know exactly where you are.
Try to get our speakers presentation.
I live in Park West. You know where Corazon Club is, just north of Jerome High School.
You lost on it, man.
No,
Yeah.
very gas.
Oh, how are you, Steve? All right. I don't know if you do or don't. I've got my laptop. I don't have a thumb drive to put it on. I can email it to you. So yeah, let's do that. Let me get that done. Thank you. I'll get some food.
Probably one of those.
Oh, I still work. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I'm old enough to be retired, but I am still working, yes.
Yeah, he did. But we want to have. We have. The big, I mean, he did it all for me, and then. $15. How are
Tickets? $10? That's okay, I was just making sure. $20, that's all. Okay.
Yeah.
I used to have them before you came in, every once in a while working.
I appreciate it.
I forgot to have dinner last night. I forgot.
How do you forget that?
It's like the,
Like a five one.
How many people do you normally get at your meetings?
like the drug.
Now you have your mouth full, Jim. Just wait for my laptop to come on here. That's a nice.
Some days more, but boy. Well, for instance, today, four of our contingent are in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, wow.
Projects.
Okay.
Well, many projects, we've worked with them for years.
Yes.
So.
Well, how's everything?
They got work every year down.
Don't take so long.
And then.
I didn't.
Well, I did that one day, but you don't like, you had to give money.
You took some. Well, thank you. You? All right? I didn't see that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 250. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Tim, I'm just coming back to here, but I think I saw some email about for money, sponsorship.
Well, we don't necessarily need it right now, but what I was trying to lay out was the whole notion that we're gonna have, we go after annual sponsors and ask people if they've been giving like 500 up to 750 and we'll be focused for the whole year. And frankly, I reread my email and I didn't say that very well.
I was sitting there almost, somebody else was sitting there.
But you want to be a volume sponsor? Okay, sure. We'll put you down for that.
He was saying,
It's just.
There's a PowerPoint in there, it's about 15 slides.
All right. And it came out of the district assembly, just 4 brilliant ideas on membership.
Really, every member should go, you know, it's hard to get there, but it's worth going.
Thank you. Wish I knew how to go out there.
I don't. I, well. Conversations were.
I guess you're all linked in with the screen and everything.
Yep, I'm all hooked up.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
I don't know what they. Because I just. Once
Here with leadership? Okay. She just needs one, she just needs a sneeze.
Some are gonna want some there too, some are gonna do, one that wants to be government.
Are you running the show today?
Just trying to get the show running.
I can do it.
Sorry, I'm not trying to show off. I didn't show. I'll take it down too.
But my concern is that, like, our last place, I had to do it, and I don't have fun to do it. Is it gonna cost me more than if I had done it? Not that, yes, I would, that's, I don't figure. If we're in the mall, yeah, only because we're inside, our window, our quarter, do one more. And something makes the meeting. I didn't do it. No, I'm fine.
Looks good.
I'm working here. I think it's. They're my customer now, right?
Nice.
I think I've got it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, so Shirley is willing to.
Good deal.
A lead role, I guess, would say, like, you have a title like Rotary volunteer coordinator. She doesn't want to be the person that's responsible for bringing things, so they don't, but she can't do that.
She can work.
But she can, like,
That's what I thought.
she has some kind of, need to have some other people where, but, yes.
Well, yeah, and he has. I'm really excited. New meeting.
Yeah. the meeting here,
We've been good.
We're not gonna do a lot of questions, so there's not-
Yeah. I know.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Whose attention are you trying to get here? If we have, where do you want to sit?
Roger, you're not saving it for anybody else.
Yeah. So I did it out. And you charge for it?
Be offended if I put that thing in.
You're so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know, I'm sorry that I'm late. You know, I'm still around, like, all my acquaintances.
Yeah. You think we will?
We're talking about mountain. Me too, Don. Oh my gosh, yes, yes. It's my favorite time of year. I can't say the same for me.
Relaxation. Almost wonderful pain.
Yes. About 8-minute drive for me to get here. And the usual traffic. Rotary. In Dublin, kind of in Dublin here.
We will accept people that go to.
Even slightly beyond. Oh, we got people. Beyond those.
Well, it's technically, broader
Got my number. I was just told, and you got my child.
School is 4 times the area of the population of the city.
Oh, he's
It's all you need.
By the way, thanks for.
You've been in the road.
He has to pay.
No, I don't know. Thank you for saying.
There is some.
And when I talked to her.
I have not, I intended to.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's sit here.
About 20 years ago.
Thank you. Hi, because this is for me.
They let you out and I'm starting to look up. I'm shocked.
These things happen. I had my reasons.
You and I had a race. Yeah.
I'm older now, I'm a little wiser.
Nice to see you. I did, and it makes me more appreciative. What you got, and things are good. Yeah, it's a little all you can.
Somebody brought me as a guest. And they didn't invite me back. I said or did. Right.
Yeah. Get my water, get my water.
Okay.
Water or lemonade? I'm gonna run some lemonade with you. I guess we used to live here.
Oh, yeah.
I have academic year.
Okay. Is Charlie gonna charge you to use this room?
I think we actually get fairly, pretty. Yeah. And then they give us a deal on the food and we're seeing like.
You said you used to work, be located in York, yeah.
And York did have a room charge, we had to have. They used to.
Yes. You to know that, in case you need a place to live. In my dad's facility like this, I did my due diligence, and places that we ended up, the place we ended up, the food was outstanding. I think that means a lot.
I think it does mean a lot to the retirees to have.
Yes.
Okay, we gotta get this show on the road.
Yes, I'm ready.
There's no microphone to it.
Oh, it's on the table.
Where is it? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Testing. Testing, yes. Okay, let's get started. As a reminder, please, you people are brutal.
There you go.
Now we understand that. All right, now we can get started. As a reminder, please silence your cell phones for guests and visitors. My name is Jim Farmer, president of this club. I'd like to welcome you to the 9th meeting of the 50th year of the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club. The invocation and pledge of allegiance will be offered by the one and only Jerry Katz.
Thank you. If you'll pray with me, please. As we pray to our own supreme being, to thank you for our blessings of food. May we help those who are hungry. For our blessing of shelter. May we help those who are homeless. For the blessing of health. May we help those who suffer. For the blessing of friends. May we be friends to the lonely. For the blessing of financial means. May we share all we have with others. For this and the thoughts on our minds and hearts, we say, Amen.
United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Peggy, I think you started that, and you're gonna regret it because I'm the sergeant today.
Such power.
Somebody over there, they voice.
So other than our speaker, I don't believe we have any visitors today. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But I don't see any. So announcements, anyone with announcements, please make your way to the podium at this point in time. I know we have a few.
Yes, I want to invite you to our welcome team orientation for Chris, for Community Refugee and Immigration Services. So this Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. at the Chris offices, that's 4645 Executive Drive, will be taught how to be a good welcome team for a family coming to the United States, coming to Central Ohio. So I hope you can come. It'll be an important and very good event.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, we have a show of hands about how many people plan to go, because we want to make sure we get a good crowd there. All right, that sounds great. We'll get a few more. Thank you. Next announcement.
Well, it's such a beautiful fall day, but I hate to bring up Christmas today, but it is getting time for Christmas. Poinsettia sale. This is our 50th anniversary of the club and the 25th year that we've been selling poinsettias. So I'm hoping that as a goal, every person in our Rotary Club buys at least one plant. Can we do that? Make it 100%? We've got ravishing reds, wonderful whites, blushing pinks, and marvelous marble poinsettias available. $13 a plant or 10 plants for $120. And if your cat eats your plants or your dog, urinates on them and you can't have them in the house, you can always donate to the nursing homes. John Butterfield will be heading up that group, and the more the merrier. A delivery will be on Wednesday, December 4th. Pickup can start late on Tuesday, the 3rd, at Mr. Payerly's offices, and all that information will be sent out in an email shortly. Our goal is to sell at least 600 plants, and we like to stretch it just a little bit for Jim Miller to 625. So good luck. You're free. You don't have to sell any plants until after Halloween. You can start selling on the 1st of November. And hopefully on the 4th, when we meet again, we'll have a good number of orders already in. Thank you.
Just to clarify, if your animals urinate on the plants, you don't give those plants to them.
Hey, everybody, it's Christmas time again. I know it's early. We think I'm off my rocker, but I'm not, because we only have a couple meetings before I have to turn the gifts back into the kids. So, excuse me, there's 2 meetings in November. You can bring your wrapped gifts back to me at either of those 2 meetings, and I really, really appreciate it. Most of you have already picked up your gift tags, and thank you. Thank God for you. And if you haven't picked yours up, I still have several on the table. So thanks.
Hi, everybody. I am here to tell you that your foundation continues to do wonderful things. We helped this month a family that needed assistance with getting their utility bill paid. And we also assisted somebody with rent. And believe it or not, both of these folks sent us letters thanking us and telling us how much they appreciated our support. So as we come into the end of the year, certainly if you have extra money or you haven't taken the money out of your IRAs yet, it's a great place to give to the foundation. We'd appreciate that. Jim asked me to talk for a second about this adventure that I was on over the last few weeks that many of you already know about. If you don't know, both Heather and I are members of Ohio Task Force 1. We're one of 28 FEMA teams across the country, all of which deployed to these events that occurred in the Southeast. And so I can't make a whole presentation out of this thing, but I want you to imagine for a minute that you wake up in the morning and you go to work. And then about noon, somebody says, hey, let's go on vacation right now. Only it's not really a vacation. So we did, right? So we got up and we started our normal work day. And then about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, we got the notification that we're getting deployed. And as it happened, Heather was deployed as a technical search specialist, which means that she didn't bring a dog. And her job is to plan searches and to run certain equipment, cameras and hearing devices and things like that when it's necessary. So she went without a dog. I wasn't gonna go at all. So I went out there to get her off and the rest of the team off. And as always, I bring my gear because you never know. And it happened. So they said, hey, can you go? And I said, of course. And so we both wound up deploying. So imagine you have a farm like mine and you say, all right, let's leave for like a week or 10 days, which is a normal deployment. Well, this one turned out to be 21 days. We were gone.
the longest that the task force has ever deployed. Our normal is 10 to 12 days. 14 is supposed to be the max, but FEMA can say, hey, we need to keep you. So we started off, I think the funniest part of this deployment is, and I can't give you days, but I can tell you that, we stayed in a hotel on the way down, and then we stayed at a Disney property, and then we stayed in a jail. Yeah, jail. Okay, you notice that I said in a jail, not in jail, right? We stayed in Pasco County, Florida, which is north of Tampa. We stayed in a decommissioned jail for a few days. And from there, we went to a hotel north of Atlanta on our way to Cherokee, North Carolina, which is obviously in Western Carolina, where we stayed in a casino. Yeah, believe it or not, we stayed in a casino hotel. It was beautiful. Nobody was there because, well, nobody could get there. Half the roads were closed, right? So we stayed there for a couple of days, and from there we went to Boone, North Carolina. You might know that that's the home of Appalachian State University, and we stayed in the basement of the Coliseum that a week prior had been flooded. So they took all the carpet out, and they cut all the drywall up to get the wet, moldy stuff away, and we slept on the concrete floor for a night, and then a couple of nights or so in our cots. And then they got done with us there, and they sent us down to Florida ahead of Hurricane Milton, which they sent us to Atlanta, which of course has beautiful hotels, and we stayed on the floor of the convention center. First night on the floor, the carpet was way better than concrete, I will tell you this. And then we got our cots set up. So and then we stayed in a hotel for a couple of nights, and then we came home. So what did we do? First of all, I went as what's called a ground support specialist. So what that means is that I'm really busy getting the equipment down there, because I can drive the trucks, and then we set everything up. We set up cots, or we set up tents or generators or anything that we need. And then I do nothing until we're gonna leave, and then we take it all down. So it was really boring for me. I got one day out in the field, and when I talk about out in the field, what do we do? So so our mission, of course, is search and rescue. So we're really going there to find people that are trapped in their homes or whatever the case may be. As you might imagine, that only lasts for a couple of days. Then it becomes more of a recovery mission. And then beyond that, in addition to the recovery, we do a lot of damage assessments. So we go out there sort of as the first look at what happened. So we go along, we click on our computer, what does a property look like? Is there no damage? Is there a little bit of damage? Is it destroyed? And so forth. We did over almost 20,000 of those in Pasco County. Now keep in mind that a lot of these are trailer parks, and it was just click destroyed. Oh, right. I mean, people don't necessarily realize that hurricanes are sort of easy if you're smart, right? Because they say leave. And if you're smart, you leave, and you usually have like a week to get out of there. Tornadoes, not so much, right? We get tornado warnings here. What do? You can't go anywhere. So you go in your basement, right?
If you have one.
If you have one, or you figure someplace else, you go to your safe space. So when we were in Orlando, we went to Fort Pierce, and I can tell you that our team went to Fort Pierce anyhow, where two tornadoes converged, and made a lot of damage in a trailer park sort of an area. And so that's, in a nutshell, that's what we do. That's what we did. And I'll start off the happy dollars with throwing a buck in because I'm. Yes, ma'am.
Who fed the animals?
Oh, what a great question. Yeah, good thinking.
Worried about the dogs and the animals.
Yeah, so we have one really good friend, and this is a little bit of a funny story, right? Who is the only person on the world that we can trust with all of our animals, farm animals and dogs. And when we made arrangements, we pay her a lot of money, of course. But our arrangement was, listen, we're leaving today, right? And we planned this in advance. Can you take care of the place? And of course, her answer is yes. But we'd always planned on having 2 or 3 dogs with us. We never planned to leave all of them with her.
Oh.
So we do have a very good friend who understands our entire farm, who stayed there and took care of her for us.
Thanks.
How many dogs do you have?
2, many. We have 6 search dogs and a Yorkshire Terrier who's in charge of the whole pack.
Oh, Yorkshire Terrier.
Yeah. Any other quick questions? I'm getting a hook
Thanks,
over here.
Alan.
Oh, he's got it.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick announcement for our International Service Committee, folks. We have a special meeting of that committee tomorrow, 9 o'clock. You've received 2 different Zoom invites. Use the one Dave sent you because this is the live meeting with our friends in the Dominican Republic. Tomorrow, we're using their link. So something exciting electronically will go wrong tomorrow, but I'm trying to help lower those odds.
Thank you. A couple quick announcements. This is October month. That's a district project, and full disclosure, we have agreed as a club to contribute at least $250. But I brought a little box today that says October right on it. And before you leave, to ease your conscience, you can put in 50, 100, 200, whatever you feel like doing, and we'll buy socks for October. So thank you for that. Also, I want to announce the rah-rah@lower.com field, which is on Thursday, November 7th from 4 to 5, followed by drinks at a local bar or restaurant. If you're planning on going, please let me know. We want to get kind of a head count, although there is no maximum. However many show up, we can handle. But we'd like to know how many are coming, so please do that. And this Cass, who is our sergeant today.
Get out from running. What happened to Bill Geisler?
He popped in.
I was gonna have him carry the pot because he's the ultimate sergeant. But since he's not here, then I have to pick somebody else. And yeah, you're gonna carry it. I'm not gonna fine you. Well, we switched, but
And then I still.
I'm not gonna fine you because you're another sergeant, but you said you wouldn't be the program. Okay. Okay, yeah, I know you could have kept going. I'm glad you stopped. Okay, so, happy dollars. Who's got some happy dollars? Yep, there goes the one from our FEMA man. Okay.
Careful.
No happy dollars? Oh, yeah, sure, right there.
You're gonna get $1 from all these miserable people.
Yeah, I will.
You all know my grandson's with the Naval Academy. And he's on the cross country team. He's captain. And he beat Army last Saturday. The first 10 slots, Navy had 9 of them.
Perfect. Bunch of landlubbers.
No, sailors have to get out of town.
Yeah, because the Marines are coming. Okay, oh, yes, Jim.
My granddaughter turned 5 yesterday, and if anybody's interested, I have photographic evidence that she is the cutest granddaughter.
Hands down, evidently. Peggy.
Grandson is in the Air Force, Nolan Ryan. He is successful into the Las Vegas, leaving January 1 for Top Gun.
Wow. Very good, very good.
Big stuff.
Any more happy dollars? Yes, Jeff.
My son Owen, senior at Purdue, and we found out a couple weeks ago, he's gainfully employed now.
That doesn't mean you have to stop writing checks, but he is gainfully employed.
We're going to see our son tonight in Western North Carolina, and he's okay after the.
That's a blessing, thank you. All right, any other happy dollars? Last Saturday, we had a food drive. And so how much did we collect? 403 pounds. How many meals will that be? 375. So if you volunteered for the food drive, thank you very much. If you didn't, put in $1. Okay, on this day, way back in, oh, wait a minute, I need to recognize somebody. and that would be Court Chapman. I want to recognize Court because all of this work for disasters that Alan has been involved in through the state of Ohio. You all, I know, are aware that it's Court who worked actually with FEMA and covered a lot of different disasters in our states and really helped an awful lot of people. True Rotarian, thank you. Okay, so on this day in 1917, that most of you can't remember that, this was the day that the 1st Infantry Division, known as Big Red 1, excuse me, shoots the first US shot in World War I. That's on this day. Now, Joe Patchen and your friends, you all went skeet shooting. Put in $1 for making those shots. I noticed lately also that the zoo officials finally got what they had coming to them. Yeah. They got their punishment but on this day in 1941, Walt Disney's Dumbo was released. So if you've ever been to the zoo, put in $1. This is also the day Yogi Berra, what a great guy. Yogi Berra is named manager of the New York Yankees. He replaces Ralph Hoke, who became the general manager. So if you like any of Yogi's sayings, or you've ever been to a baseball game, you might as well put in another $1. Now, why is this thing going off?
Somebody.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But,
That's $1, I think.
you guys are just lucky you've already put in your money, because when you start to try to find the sergeant who's standing in front of you, that is not a good thing to do, folks, I'm telling you. All right, so here's an interesting fact. Most of you put in the most, $3 anyway. Actually, Johnny Carson was born this day in 1925. I think most of us of a certain age certainly enjoyed Johnny Carson. What is kind of unique, I thought, was he died on January the 23rd in 2005. So wasn't the same month, but it was the same day. So of course, today happens to be National TV Talk Show Host Day. It's also a National Medical Assistant Day, National Boston Cream Pie Day, National Croc Day, not the animal, but the shoe. It's National iPod Day. It's National Paralegal Day. So if you haven't put in your $3, I know I could have touched you on some of those for sure. So put in your most for that. Now, another admission that I have to confess to, I have had some problems with my computer. Now, if you have problems with your computer, what do?
Call Steve.
You call Steve, that's right. You call Steve, and I did call Steve. I called him. And I just want to tell you something. To whoever one of you stole my Microsoft Office, I will find you. You have my word.
That was amazing. Okay, our speaker today will be introduced by Lisa Federico.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Mark Yerke. Mark is a reverse mortgage expert. He also happens to be a very good friend of mine. We met at Spirit. I've listened to several of his talks, and it was one of the reasons why I thought it would be a great speaker for us today. There is a lot that has changed in his industry. And I think that you will be pleasantly surprised to hear some of the new products that are out there. Mark has been in the mortgage industry for over 37 years, and he's spent the last 15 specializing in reverse mortgages. He's the past president of the Columbus Mortgage Banking Association and current president of the Columbus chapter of the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. Mark and his wife Patty live in Dublin and enjoy spending time with their 5 children and 6 grandchildren. So with that, I give you Mark. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Lisa. Kind of like I wrote it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Got a clicker if you want it. Or you can just use the. Great, perfect.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to speak to your Rotary Club. I told Jim, he asked me if I'd been to a Rotary meeting before. I said I'd been about 20 years, and he couldn't understand why I wasn't a member. And I said, I don't know, they just didn't invite me back for some reason, so. We'll see who invites me next week. So look, reverse mortgages. A lot of you know this gentleman here. He was our president back in the 1980s. His administration actually introduced the first reverse mortgage program to our country. And it was called a HECM, HECM. It stands for Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. It's what FHA calls a reverse mortgage. And the reason that it was introduced in 1987 was because a lot of people at that point in time, a lot of the front edge of the baby boomer generation, they were going to beginning to retire, and they needed the ability to access the money in their home without having to make a monthly payment. You all understand that the main advantage of a reverse mortgage is what? You don't have to make a monthly payment. You can borrow money out of your home and then not have to make a monthly payment. So I'm going to explain to you in a little bit how a reverse mortgage works. I'm then going to show you a case study on somebody that actually took out a reverse mortgage earlier this year. And then during this presentation, if you have questions, great time to ask them is just raise your hand and let's get it answered while we can still remember it, right? All right, I'm going to show you guys some people here. Who's this fella? Who said it? Good for you, man. What's your name? Paul. Paul? Because you're a good participant here, you're going to have a couple cups of coffee on me. Thank you. So what did Pat do, right? He was a gospel singer, an actor. Anybody know this guy? Who is it?
Fred Thompson.
Fred Thompson, exactly. He was a senator from the state of Tennessee. He's also a professional actor. Anybody? James Garner, Rockford Files. The Fonz. Happy Days. We all remember the Fonz. And I know you all know who this gentleman is because you see him on television all the time. And the thing that all 5 of these gentlemen have in common is they've all advocated for reverse mortgages since I've been in the reverse business for about 15 years. So the main reason people take out a reverse mortgage, at least the number one reason that I run across, is people are entering that time of life where it's time for retirement. And some of them still have a mortgage going into retirement. And as you can see here, about 50% of those that go into retirement with the mortgage are only able to pay that mortgage off within about the first anywhere from 2 to 8 years. And that leaves about 50% of the people who never get it paid off, or it takes longer than 8 years to get it paid off. And the reason they want to be able to pay it off is so that they can have a little bit more money in retirement. So having said that, let me set up for you how a reverse mortgage works. I don't know if you guys can all see this.
we can.
Now you can, all right. How's that? So let me give you an example. Let's say somebody is able to, do a reverse, well, that's not a very good color. Did we have black? Let's try blue. How's that? Can you see that? No? Kind of faint. All right. How about if I just verbalize it? So if you take out a reverse mortgage, let's say you've got a house that's worth about $600,000. You can typically borrow about 35 to 50% of the value of your home with a reverse mortgage. So if you've got a house that's worth about $600,000, you can typically borrow about 200,000 out of that. And whatever you do with that 200,000, it's up to you. Most people put it in their bank account, or they'll just leave it as a line of credit. But if you pull out $200,000, there is interest on it. You don't have to make a monthly payment. And this is where everyone gets confused. They think it's some sort of scam. How in the world can you borrow money against your house and not have to make a monthly payment? And the way that happens is the interest simply accrues to the mortgage balance every month. So if you borrowed $200,000 initially, and the interest for the first month is $1,000, 30 days from now, they're gonna owe how much? $201,000, exactly. 2 months from now, that mortgage balance is gonna be $202,002. 3 months from now, it'll be $203,000, $203,005, and so forth. So over time, that mortgage balance just increases. Anytime you wish to pay it off, you can. The loan becomes due when the second surviving borrower permanently departs the house. So they can sell the house whenever they want. They want to sell it after 1 month. They owe how much? 201,000. They sell it for as much as they can get for it. And then they walk away with the difference. So for most people, this is probably the last mortgage they want to take out. They want to be able to use the equity to do whatever it is that they need to do, pay real estate taxes. Maybe they've got life events that have happened, but the loan becomes due when the second surviving borrower permanently departs the house. For most people, that might be 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. If they pass away, the loan becomes due, and then the estate will notify whoever the heir is, and they say, hey, do you want the house? All you gotta do is just pay off whatever the outstanding balance is on that mortgage. Most kids don't want mom and dad's house. They just want to sell it and net the equity out. So the FHA gives the estate 6 to 12 months to pay off that outstanding balance. Why do you suppose they give them 6 to 12 months? It's exactly right. It takes about that long to sell a house. So, and then here's the good part. Everyone always asks, well, what happens if there's more owed on the house than what it's worth? Is that a fair question? I know most of you have that on your mind, and this is the good part. If that's the case, then the estate can just deed the house back to the lender, and then the estate's done. They don't owe that upside down difference. Here's what typically takes place. The lender will take the property back. They will sell it for as much as they can get for it. And then they'll have a shortage because there was more owed on than what it's worth. They file an insurance claim because there's an insurance policy on the mortgage to protect the lender and the estate for that upside down difference. So they'll sell the house, they'll have a shortage, and then they'll just file a claim with FHA, who's the insurance company, for that upside down difference. Any questions?
I have a question. So what is the value of that compared to just a home equity?
To taking out a regular home equity line of credit?
Because you can pay interest only on that.
You can. And with the reverse mortgage, you can make an interest payment as well if you wish. But most people don't want to make a payment. So that's the main difference is you've taken out, and the loan's exactly like that type of loan that would be at a bank for a home equity line of credit. The only difference is with the reverse mortgage, you're not required to make that repayment on a monthly basis. Yeah.
Could you set up
a reverse mortgage where you actually get a monthly payment?
You can't. So the question was, and if you didn't hear him, can you get a monthly payment back by doing the reverse mortgage? So in the example I said earlier, $200,000, it's one of three methods that somebody can use to take out the reverse mortgage. They can take a lump sum amount out, which would be that case there, 200,000, or they can leave it as a line of credit and access it whenever they want, just like a traditional home equity line of credit. Or in the case that you just mentioned, we can annuitize that 200,000 and send a monthly payment to you every month for the rest of your life. Great question. Other questions? So I told you, oh, Steve had a question?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Just why is it vilified? Like, what's the downside, or why people view it as a scam?
Yeah, so I told you that the loan was invented in 1987, and it was by the government, by the United States government, under the FHA. And I told you that there's insurance that protects the estate or the lender from ever owing more than what it's worth. So that was the FHA program. A couple of years after that loan came out, a lot of banks began to do their own reverse mortgage, banks and lenders that were not under the FHA concept. And all of the bad things that you've heard about reverse mortgages were done by those lenders, if you will. Life goes on, 2008 rolls around. Everybody remember the financial crisis in 2008?
Yeah.
After that period of time, the government cleaned up a lot of the mortgage lending programs. Reverse mortgages were one. And the other lenders that were doing these types of loans, they basically got cleaned out. So that information never caught up with the American consumer, if you will. And it's not a bad program. It's a very, very good program. And as a result of what happened in 2008, reverse mortgages are now a very safe program for seniors. Great question. Other questions? So this is a couple of people that we helped earlier this year, Tom and Sarah. They refinanced to pay off their existing balance. They refinanced to a reverse mortgage, and they wanted to do it so that they could retire. So this is the home they currently owe. They own, it's worth about $600,000. And they raised their family here, but they still owe about $175,000 with a payment every month of about $1,500 a month. They're interesting. They raised their family here. They bought this house in 1994. It was 30 years ago. They took out a regular 30-year fixed rate mortgage at that point in time. And they bought the house for $200,000, about $200,000 in 1994. And so you'd think that after 30 years taking out that mortgage, they'd have the house paid off, right?
No,
No.
because they had kids and they had to pay tuition.
You can come up and give this presentation. Taking the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, so they had kids, and on top of that, they refinanced 4 or 5 times over that period of time because rates went up and down. They took advantage of the interest rate cycle. And each time they refinanced, they pulled out a little bit of equity because life happens, like you said. You have kids, they have braces, diapers, daycare, cars. By the way, this couple had 5 kids. College tuition, weddings, and then grandkids, right? It never stops. So they finally, yes, each couple actually had 4 girls and 1 boy. So, you know, this year rolls around, they're empty nesters. They want to stay in this house, but they both want to leave their jobs, go ahead and take advantage of their pension and their social security, but they've got one thing that's in the way.
What were their ages? What are their ages?
66. 66, so they became eligible for social security at age 62 and Medicare at age 65. And now they're both ready to retire, right? But they still have this mortgage payment in front of them. So by refinancing
they're able to pay off that $175,000 mortgage. They don't have a mortgage payment any longer. And in addition to that, they have access to a $23,000 line of credit that they can access whenever they'd like. So $1,500 a month savings, that's about $18,000 per year. Over 5 years, that's a lot of money, $90,000. They're now able to retire, travel, enjoy life without the stresses of finance and debt. So every borrower that takes out a reverse mortgage, they get an amortization schedule with them so that they can know what their loan balance is going to be in the future. Anybody know what amortization stands for, or what amort stands for? It's a Latin term. Go ahead.
I don't know the exact Latin derivation, but I know that it means spreading something out over a period of time.
Yeah.
Until death.
This man gets he gets the property part. The amort is Latin for death. Amortization is death of a mortgage. And typically on a regular 30-year fixed rate mortgage, every time you make a monthly payment, that loan balance goes down and eventually that mortgage dies after 30 years, thus death. So a reverse mortgage is reverse amortization, right? So the loan balance is going to be increasing over time. So in this case, this is our loan balance column. We start off with a loan balance of 198. 198, how much did they borrow? Originally, they paid off a loan of 175,000, right?
Yeah.
So there's closing costs involved, and it's not cheap. It's about $23,000 in closing costs on a $600,000 house. The good news is you don't have to pay that out of pocket. You just roll that into the new mortgage. 175 and 23 is $178,000 or $198,000 starting on day one. After 5 years, that loan balance will have climbed to about almost $280,000 because of interest. If at that point in time, they wanted to sell, or if they have to move out, or if they passed away, what's owed is $279,000. If they decide to sell the house, this is the property value column. It initially was worth $600,000, 4% property appreciation per year. That house will be worth about $735 years from now. So they can sell it for $730, pay off the $279, and then they can walk away with the difference, which is $451,000. In addition to that, they've got a line of credit, which is a growing line of credit. It started off at $23,000, and every year the lender will increase the amount of credit that's available to them. So if they've not used any of this $23,000, 20 years from now, that's actually $89,000 that they can take out anytime they wish without ever having to make a monthly repayment. So guys, that's all I've got. Go ahead.
How is the interest rate determined?
Yeah, so you can select, just like with any other mortgage, you can select between a fixed rate or an adjustable. In this illustration here, this is an interest rate of about 6.75%. It's typically about 0.5 to 0.75% higher than the traditional 30-year fixed rate. Saw another hand up, yes.
Yeah, there are two issues that created the major collapse of banks. One was that the customer never realized that the endpoint of interest rates go up. And number two, property values
Went
go
down, correct,
at the same time.
correct.
And what's now built in to prevent that?
Yeah, so since it's an FHA mortgage, regardless of what your property value may go down to, as property values decreased in 2008, as you've referenced, it's an FHA loan. You can't they can't take this away from you. It only becomes due when you permanently depart the property, when the second of the two of you permanently departs the property.
So again, the risk goes back to the government.
Well, it's the insurance fund.
Right, but that's
Correct.
that is the government.
That's us.
Yep.
I'll only note that I actually live in a house that, had a reverse mortgage when I bought it. And, our friends, the Geislers, helped me with that. It turns out that was the first reverse mortgage purchase that, they'd ever done. And, I wasn't a successful bidder. What happens when you buy one is, first of all, you can't go in the house. It's locked up. You can visit the property, you can walk the lot, you can try to look in the windows, you can do whatever you darn well please, except you can't break into the house. So you don't know exactly what you're buying. In this case, for us, the daughter tried to sell the house beforehand. And so we were able to get into the house to look at it and see basically what we were buying. You then place a bid on it, and it's just open to the general public. Anybody can bid. And we were not the successful bidders. The successful bidder went to the property within the allotted time period, which I've forgotten, but 3 days or 10 days or something. And decided that they didn't want that property. And so it was back on the bidding again. Well, so most of you know my wife. My wife wanted that house. So I of course bid more than I thought it was worth, because I knew what I'd have to do to it. I don't know typically, but even in your example, the folks who are living there don't necessarily update the house because they're in retirement and they're traveling and all of those things. So obviously we were the successful bidders. You have no way of knowing how much you overbid and left on the table, so to speak. But I can tell you that I happened to bid, I didn't know it at the time, but I happened to bid the tax evaluation of that house. Now, we've been there 8 years. That house is now worth a lot more than the 4% compounded rate that this example gives, which is obviously pretty conservative, depending upon where it is, and it looked like it was in Worthington, so that's pretty conservative. So we're real pleased with that, and the reverse mortgage worked out for the folks who lived there. We didn't actually know them, but we know a little history of them, and it worked out just fine.
Awesome. Thank you for your story.
What was your comment about the program?
What were your questions? I don't forget.
Folks, if there's anything, if you got questions, my contact information, feel free to reach out. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, very interesting.
Not yet 1 o'clock.
Okay, we have a raffle today. Ro Morrow is going to conduct that for us. And we have big money on the line.
65 and then 987 in the big pot. So for $65. Last four, 6473.
Yeah,
You're welcome, Karen. Pick another one for the ace drawing.
What if I pick my own?
You pick it.
I'll pick yours.
Okay. That would have, yeah, that would be great. 6493.
Better going once. 6493.
Alan's checking.
After me.
Alan, oh my gosh.
Write them out.
So close. Three of spades, well done.
Thank you.
Okay, let's stand and say the four-way test. Of all the things we think, say, and do, first. Second. Third. Fourth.
All concerned.
To keep Roe happy, I'm gonna ring the bell. We are adjourned. I did.
Kim? What you got?
I drew one. But I